Revealed, how a heartwarming 30-day journey transformed a family feud into an incredible bond. Mary Johnson stood beneath the glowing amber sky of Cedar Grove, her heart pounding with a mix of dread and determination. The years of family feud weighed heavily on her shoulders. The smell of freshly mowed grass filled the air, an ironic reminder of the farm that had once thrived, now hanging by a thread as whispers of foreclosure slithered through town. With just weeks until the annual Harvest Festival, Mary knew that playtime was over. She needed to unite her fractured family for the sake of her children. What would they inherit? A legacy of bickering and resentment? No way. Her two kids, Jake and Ellie, played soccer nearby, their shouts of joy ringing like music in the air. But behind their laughter was a nagging thought: would they grow up in a broken family? Her heart tightened. Could she really pull it off? All right, family reunion, 30 days time to confront the ghosts that have haunted us all. She declared to herself, gripping the invitation she would soon send out to the family. As soon as she sent out those invitations, a wave of anxiety surged through her. What would her brother Luke say? After years of silence, the tension between them felt like a taut string about to snap. But Mary had no time for hesitance. She had made a promise to her kids. The phone didn't ring with hope. It was a symphony of dread, one bitter reply after another. Not coming, can't make it, why bother? Echoed in her ears like taunts. Still, she pressed forward. Her sister, Beth, who had once been her closest confidant, flat out refused to even acknowledge the invitation. Aunt Betty arrived with her sharp tongue and a chip on her shoulder, stirring old wounds as her presence rippled through the family tree like a noxious weed. Mary felt the heat rising, but she stood fast. They gathered for a potluck dinner, tension over the casserole dishes thick enough to cut with a knife. The atmosphere was suffocating until little Jake, sensing the strife, broke the silence with his innocent giggle. Everyone turned, laughter punctured the air, if only for a moment. In that fleeting second, Mary saw glimmers of hope, maybe they could reconcile. Then came the storm, mirroring the chaos in their hearts. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The storm raged, forcing them to huddle together, both physically and emotionally. Forcing them to unite against nature and each other. It was powerful, this temporary alliance. Mary felt feelings bubbling to the surface. Old grievances began to spill out, wounds came with sharp cries and deep revelations. She felt the weight lifting, though apprehensive shadows lingered. When the clouds parted, Mary stood on the crumbling porch, staring down the path she wished they'd take together. But an unexpected find in the attic, an old family letter, surfaced secrets long buried that could tear them apart even more. Would they let this divide them again? Would the bond they'd just begun to forge slip through their fingers like sand? A rush of anticipation thrummed in Mary's veins as she prepared for the fundraiser that could save their farm. But with the gathering storm of their family's secrets pounding ever nearer, the real question was, would they tear apart or finally reclaim their bond? Mary's fingers trembled as she held the weathered envelope. The faded ink told a story of hurt and misunderstanding, a history she had long sought to bury. But standing on that porch, she felt an undeniable pull to uncover the truth. What secrets could these dusty pages hold? As the sun slipped beneath the horizon, casting eerie shadows across the yard, she knew that the time had come to face the past. Taking a deep breath, she stepped inside, the smell of home-cooked meals lingering in the air. Her children's laughter had faded, replaced by solemn echoes of family discord. They needn't see this just yet. Seated at the table, Mary unfolded the letter with shaky hands, each word an echo of the hurt that had long separated her from Luke, Beth, and even Aunt Betty. It spoke of misunderstandings, misinterpretations, and fateful decisions that had driven a wedge in their family. Clenching her jaw, she felt a swell of anger rise within her. How could they have let this happen? As the clock ticked ominously, she called her children over, her voice steady despite the storm raging within. "I found something important," she announced, her heart racing. "This might help us understand our family better." Jake and Ellie, their eyes wide with curiosity, hopped onto the chairs beside her. She carefully read the letter aloud. Each sentence flickered like lightning, illuminating the room with memories and emotions she had hoped to shield her kids from. When she finished, silence enveloped them. "Mom, you didn't tell us about this," Ellie said, her brow furrowed in confusion. "I didn't want you to know," Mary replied softly, her heart aching. "But carrying these secrets has made it harder for us all to be together." And there it was, the truth laid bare. The kids needed to see that the family dynamics were messy, but they were also fixable. They could choose to break the cycle of pain, to seek understanding instead of judgment. Just then, her phone buzzed, a message lighting up the screen. "Luke." Her heart thudded in her chest as her stomach twisted with uncertainty. The words formed on the digital screen, pulling her into a whirlpool of hope and trepidation. "I'll be at the fundraiser. We need to talk." Mary felt a surge of possibilities rush through her. Maybe this was the breakthrough they desperately needed. The storm clouds inside her head shifted for just a moment, revealing the faint light of optimism. Perhaps they could face this together. Determined, she turned to her kids. "What do you think about helping me with the fundraiser?" Their eyes lit up at the thought, energy buzzing around the room like electricity. "Yes. We can make posters," Jake exclaimed, barely able to contain his excitement. "And bake cookies," Ellie added, her hands clapping together in delight. As they brainstormed ideas, a wave of warmth enveloped Mary. It was a small step, but it felt monumental. Their laughter returned, filling the room with hope, but in the back of her mind, a nagging thought lingered: would a single event be enough to mend the rifts? What would happen when Aunt Betty and Beth were faced with the stark truth? As they worked side by side, the light faded completely, leaving a gentle darkness that whispered secrets and doubts. It was a fleeting moment of joy, and Mary realized the road ahead was still fraught with peril. "Mom, what if it doesn't work?" Little Ellie's voice broke through her thoughts. Mary paused, glancing at her expectant children. "Then we'll keep trying," she said, her voice steady but laced with uncertainty. Tomorrow would bring the fundraiser, and with it, the potential for change, but it also carried the weight of unresolved issues. Would they rise together, or would the ghosts of their past drag them back into darkness? She clung to her children, the flicker of hope igniting within her once more. As they continued their preparations, the question hung in the air: was this the moment the Johnson family would truly begin to heal, or was it a prelude to another heartbreak? The next day dawned clear and bright, an unexpected burst of sunshine that felt almost like a blessing. Mary woke early, nervous energy thrumming through her veins. She rushed to the kitchen, the familiar hum of coffee brewing filling the silence. The scent wrapped around her like a comforting hug, but underneath it lay a current of tension. Jake and Ellie joined her soon after, their faces still sleepy but sparkled with enthusiasm as they remembered the fundraiser. "What time are we leaving, Mom?" Jake asked, bouncing lightly on the tips of his toes. "With everything we have to set up, we need to leave in an hour," she replied, glancing at the clock. A million thoughts raced in her mind. What would Luke say? Would Aunt Betty even show up? After a quick breakfast, Mary corralled her children into the living room. They had made a few posters during their late-night brainstorming session, decorated with bright colors and bold letters. "Let us go over what we'll say when we get there," she suggested, determined to make this a team effort. She wanted her kids to feel the weight of the day as a collective responsibility, not just her burden. Ellie jumped in, "What about join us in celebrating family and forgiveness at the Johnson fundraiser?" "Perfect!" Mary exclaimed, proud of her daughter's creativity. But as they practiced, a heavy knot tightened in her stomach. This was supposed to be a celebration, yet here she stood, teetering on the edge of broken relationships. When they packed up the car, the air outside hummed with commotion as volunteers began setting up the community center. Children laughed, families gathered, and for a fleeting moment, it felt like a normal day. But her heart raced as she spotted Luke across the lawn, talking animatedly with some of the other parents. "Mom, look!" Ellie tugged at her sleeve. "There's Luke." Mary's breath hitched. "Yeah, it looks like he's here already." They ambled forward, her children bursting with excitement, but Mary's feet felt like lead. A blend of anticipation and dread had wrapped themselves tightly around her. Luke turned, his eyes locking with hers. She could see the tension in his posture, the uncertainty clouding his features. "Hey," he said, stepping towards her with a hesitant smile. "I'm glad you're here." "Thanks for coming," Mary said, her voice surprisingly steady. "We were just about to start setting everything up." They stood beside each other, a moment of silence hanging in the air. Jake and Ellie giggled, busy decorating their assigned tables with their colorful posters. Watching them, Mary felt a flicker of warmth. Maybe they could push through this. "I read the letter," Luke said suddenly, catching her off guard. "It made me realize how many regrets I've been carrying too." "Me too," Mary replied, earnestness spilling out of her. "But today feels different. It feels like a chance we can take together." Just then, the organizer clapped her hands, gathering everyone's attention. "Let's kick off the Johnson family fundraiser with some games." As the laughter and cheers resonated around them, Mary turned to face Luke, a question poised on her lips. "Can we really leave the past behind us, Luke?" The weight of their shared history felt immense, yet here they were, at a moment that could break or bind them. His gaze softened, vulnerability flickering across his face. "Maybe, but I need to hear you say it first." In that instant, with the sounds of happy chaos swirling around them, Mary understood this was the turning point. She could feel the walls around her heart softening, embers of hope stirring within her. But still, she hesitated. Could she really voice all those feelings of hurt and forgiveness? Would the ghosts of their past finally fade today, or was this just the beginning of a more complicated journey? With her heart racing, she took a deep breath, ready to confront the fears she had harbored for too long. "I want to heal, Luke," she whispered. As the laughter around them faded to a distant echo, she wondered, would the words she spoke today be enough to unveil a path to understanding, or would it spiral once more into confusion and heartache? A nervous excitement filled her. The real challenge was just beginning. The excitement buzzed in the air, almost palpable as the fundraiser took off. Mary felt electric energy mingling with her anxiety, a sort of nervousness that sent chills down her spine. Children were running around, balloons bouncing as laughter spilled over from every corner of the community center. "Mom, look!" Jake shouted, drawing Mary's attention back to reality. He was tugging at her arm, eyes wide as he pointed to a booth filled with games. "Can we play?" "Sure, just for a minute," she answered, smiling at his enthusiasm. It was refreshing to see her children enraptured in something so joyous. As they walked towards the booth, a mixture of chatter and music filled the air. The vibrant decorations and smiling faces enveloped her, making her momentarily forget about the underlying tension with Luke. "Can you help me win that big bear?" Ellie's voice broke through the noise, her tiny fists raised in determination as she pointed to a plush toy hanging high above the ring toss. Mary nodded, feeling a warmth spread through her. Together, they tried their best, laughter filling the gaps where their throws missed. Moments like this reminded her that while the past loomed over them, today was all about healing and connections. "Hey!" Luke's voice called from behind them, causing Mary's heart to skip a beat. He approached, holding a tray filled with snacks. "I brought some food. Thought you might like to refuel." With Jake busy jubilantly tossing rings and Ellie eyeing the plush bear with sugar-sweet determination, Mary turned to Luke, cautiously meeting his gaze. "That's kind of you," she replied, extending a hand towards the tray. "Thanks." They exchanged a brief, warm smile. In that fleeting moment, Mary felt a flicker of hope ignite in her heart, a sign that maybe they could start to mend things. As they gathered around the snack table, the noise of laughter swelled, enveloping them like a warm blanket. Mary noticed Luke's apprehensiveness fade slightly, replaced with an eagerness that mirrored her own. "Do you think the kids are having fun?" Luke asked, watching as Jake celebrated his victory over the ring toss with a high-pitched cheer. "Definitely. It's all they've been talking about," Mary said, pride brightening her features. "But I think they're having the most fun just being together." For a moment, they were two parents sharing a beautiful family moment, standing side by side, sharing glances laden with unspoken understanding. As the games continued, Mary's fears felt like whispers, muffled beneath the sounds of joy. They were mingled with the hope that today could be different, that they could become a family that turned toward one another rather than away. "Mary," Luke's voice was quiet, pulling her attention from the festivities. "What you said before about wanting to heal. I feel the same way." Just before he could continue, Jake came running up, cheeks flushed and eyes sparkling. "Look, Mom. I won the bear." He held the stuffed animal high, beaming proudly. "Wow. That's amazing." Mary laughed, eyes shining with joy. She pulled Jake into a hug, the bear snug between them, and as she did, she felt the tension ease a fraction. Luke watched them, a small smile creeping onto his face. In that moment, surrounded by the laughter and camaraderie, Mary realized they were building new memories, ones that might anchor them together. "Can we set up a family game night?" Ellie piped up, breaking the enchantment with her innocent suggestion. "With popcorn and movies?" Mary's heart swelled. "That sounds perfect," she replied, looking at Luke, who nodded. Suddenly, a loud commotion erupted from the far side of the room. A table had collapsed under the weight of a few spectators, spilling drinks everywhere and triggering laughter and shrieks. "Let us help," Jake urged, darting off towards the chaos, dragging Ellie along with him. Watching her kids jump into action, Mary turned to Luke. "This could be the start of something new, right?" "Yeah," he answered, a hint of hope lighting up his smile. But even in that hopeful moment, uncertainty lingered at the edges. As the chaos settled around them, Mary couldn't shake the feeling that the true test had yet to come. Today had been just a glimpse of what could be if only they had the courage to fully embrace it. As they gathered closer to the hilarity of the mishap, a sense of unease crept back into her mind. The path ahead was still uncertain, but she took a deep breath, picturing every possibility laid out before them. What transformations awaited them as they continued their journey? Could laughter truly lead them back to one another when confronting the deeper issues they'd pushed aside? As the festivities continued, the air hummed with laughter and excitement. Mary felt lighter, but a shadow of doubt still clung to her. She watched Jake and Ellie bouncily joining in the cleanup effort, their faces radiant. Luke was volunteering in a different way, helping to set the table back right while keeping an eye on the kids. "Good job, buddy." Luke praised Jake as he handed him a fallen cup to toss in the garbage. For a moment, the sight of them felt like a peaceful family tableau, a picture she yearned for, but as she picked at a muffin on the snack tray, concern sparked in her mind. How long could this facade of normalcy last? Did they really have enough time to heal before life crashed back in with its challenges? "Do you two want to help me with a craft?" Mary suggested, hoping to extend their time together in this happy moment. It was a chance to create something tangible, something that could symbolize their progress. Both kids nodded eagerly, scampering over to her. Mary led them to a table where different colored papers, scissors, and glue waited. With each snip and paste, her heart swelled at their concentrated little faces, tongues poking out as they crafted their masterpieces. "Look, Mom. I made a card for you," Ellie exclaimed, holding up a card adorned with rainbow scribbles and a fluffy sticker heart. "Because I love you." "Ah, it's beautiful, Ellie. I love it," Mary replied, her throat tightening with emotion. "See what you started?" Luke said softly, leaning closer to her so only she could hear. They're really feeling the love today. Maybe this is what we needed, an outlet, she replied tentatively, uncertain if they were truly breaking through or simply delaying the inevitable clash of their past demons. But just as she settled into the comforting atmosphere, the loudspeaker crackled to life. The fundraiser coordinator announced a raffle, calling for everyone to gather around for the chance to win a family vacation, sparks of excitement coursing through the crowd. Come on, we have to participate. Luke urged, his excitement infectious as he grabbed a handful of raffle tickets. Jake and Ellie joined in, their faces alight with anticipation. The raffle was a great opportunity, though it felt more frivolous than meaningful. It was a distraction. But as Mary watched Luke and the kids, she felt a flicker of dread. Was this truly enough to hold them together? As the crowd began to cheer at each announced winner, Mary couldn't shake a growing unease. Underneath the laughter, she could feel a storm brewing. Questions raced through her mind, each more daunting than the last. Mary, you okay? Luke noticed her bagged expression. Just thinking. She hesitated, making sure not to voice her fears. It's lovely to be here, but let us just enjoy it for now. He encouraged, squeezing her hand briefly before he turned back to the kids. She wanted to protest but instead followed his lead, reminding herself to stay present. Yet each moment in the cheerful camaraderie only amplified the internal turmoil. The raffle winners were finally revealed, cheers ringing out, but Mary felt distant, as if she were watching from a great height. What if those prize recipients lived perfect lives, unburdened by the weight of strained relationships? As their family reveled in the noise, flashes of doubt loomed larger. Hey, Mary! Jake burst in excitedly, maybe we can plan an amazing family vacation if we win. That innocent hope struck her deep, a bittersweet reminder that all the joy they were sharing could come crashing down if they didn't confront their issues. Would she be strong enough to face them, to advocate for their family's healing? And just then, a familiar face moved to the front, someone she hadn't seen in years. Mary's heart sank. What if this encounter brought all her fears rushing back, ripping the fragile seams they had just started to weave together? Could they withstand this unexpected challenge? Or was this the very test that might push them apart once again? She swallowed hard, bracing herself for whatever was about to unfold. A wave of disbelief washed over Mary as she tried to reconcile the face that had emerged from the crowd. It was Clara, her childhood friend, someone she'd lost touch with during the messiness of life. Clara looked older, yet just as vibrant as she remembered, a streak of nostalgia dragging Mary back to a simpler time. Mary! Clara called, her eyes bright with a mixture of surprise and excitement. The children were oblivious, lost in their world, but Mary felt 1,000 emotions cave in on her. Joy, fear, and a deep-rooted uncertainty collided violently within her. Wow, it's been ages, Mary managed, controlling the tremor in her voice. She forced a smile, praying it reached her eyes. Too long. Clara responded, stepping closer, her enthusiasm unwavering. I heard about your family's challenges. I'm so glad to see you all together. It looks like you're healing. Mary's heart clenched at the concession. Healing? Could they really be labeled as such? On the surface, they were a picturesque family, but the cracks hidden beneath were still raw and unhealed. Yeah, we're trying, she replied, careful with her words. How have you been? Life's good. Busy with the kids, but we managed a family vacation this summer. You should have joined us. Clara beamed, completely unaware of the turmoil stirring within Mary. How are your little ones? Growing, as kids do, she said, coughing back the weight of the past. Jake is well, he's a handful, and Ellie is just as energetic as ever. Sounds like you have your hands full. Clara laughed, her warmth enveloping Mary for a moment, easing some of the tension. But just when Mary started to feel a flicker of camaraderie, a shadow slipped back. Wish I could say the same for my family, Clara continued, her tone shifting. We've had our own problems, trying to find balance after everything. It's rough sometimes, isn't it? Mary could feel that insight slashing through the veil of forced cheer. Yeah, it's been a journey. A heavy pause followed, laden with the weight of their shared experiences. Both women stood on the edge of something deeper but hesitated to dive in, then Jake tugged at Mary's sleeve, breaking that moment. Mom! Are we going to do the raffle? His eyes sparkled with excitement, oblivious to the adult world around him. Right. Let us hope we win, Clara said, her voice regaining its lightness. Yet, Mary couldn't shake the feeling that something was shifting within her. Clara's return was igniting old memories, reminding her of the connections that had once grounded her. As the announcement for the next winner echoed around the plaza, Mary's heart raced. The anticipation tugged at her emotions. Could they really take that leap toward healing? Luca's hand found hers again. I know you're thinking a million things, but let us put those aside for now, he started, but Mary interrupted. No, Luke. I need to say something, she whispered urgently, pulling him aside as Clara waved goodbye to someone in the distance. What if Clara's return is a sign? What if it's the push we need? Luke's brow furrowed. But do we really want to open up old wounds right now? Mary's heart sank as the weight of his words settled. Would revisiting that past draw them closer or fracture the fragile bonds they'd just begun to mend? The next winner for the family vacation was revealed, yet it felt less significant than what was unfolding between them. Mary needed to figure this out, to let go or to embrace the confrontation that could either bind them together or shatter their progress. Mom, Ellie's small voice broke through her thoughts. Can we make a vacation plan, just in case we win? Mary's breath caught in her throat. Their innocent hope felt like both a promise and a daunting challenge. With Clara lurking in the background, the past threatened to resurface, and Mary felt the weight of what loomed ahead. What was she willing to risk for love? Would their family's journey forward begin with facing the shadows of yesteryear? As Clara waved goodbye, Mary prepared herself for the inevitable conversation she'd need to have, not just with her friend, but with the tender wounds of her family. Could this be the moment of truth that would hold the key to everything? Mary stood motionless, her heart a riot of emotions as she watched Clara move into the throng of people. The laughter of kids filled the air, light and carefree, but for Mary, the moment felt heavy with unspoken words. Mom. Jake tugged at her again, his innocent curiosity a stark contrast to the chaos whirling inside her. Are we really going to win that vacation? It would be awesome. His enthusiasm struck a chord, a sharp reminder of the joy they had cherished before everything changed. Yet, Mary couldn't shake the sense of foreboding that clung to her like a second skin. I don't know, buddy. Let us just enjoy today, she replied, forcing a comforting smile that didn't quite reach her heart. Luke had stepped closer, the protective aura surrounding him palpable. Let us focus on the good things. The kids are having fun, and so are we, right? Mary nodded, but his words felt like a bandage slapped over a wound that needed healing. The tension crackled between them, unspoken fears tangling with the possibility of rekindling friendships. As the day wore on, Mary felt the weight of her own memories settling in her chest like stones. She'd shared countless days with Clara, laughing, crying, dreaming under the starlit sky. But time had twisted the landscape of their lives, creating chasms that felt insurmountable. Are you coming, Mom? Ellie shouted, joyfully running toward the colorful booths set up around the plaza. They have cotton candy. And games. I'm coming. Mary called back, forcing her feet to move. She joined the ebb and flow of excited families, each moment offering a brief escape from the heaviness in her heart. The smell of popcorn wafted through the air, mixing with the echoes of children's laughter. Jake and Ellie flitted from one game to the next, their laughter infectious. For a moment, Mary found solace in their joy, but she couldn't ignore the fragments of Clara's words. Balance after everything, it's rough sometimes. Those words echoed in Mary's mind, nestled beside her own unexamined fears. Look. I want that one. Jake yelled, pointing at a cluster of plush toys dangling just out of reach. Alright, let us try our luck. Luke said, leading the charge toward the game booth. For a brief moment, the anxiety within Mary flickered, replaced by the hopeful anticipation of a simple family outing. But as she watched Luke crouch beside the kids, trying to help them win the oversized stuffed bear, Mary's thoughts drifted back to the unresolved issues that loomed in the corners of her heart. Before she realized it, Clara was back in her line of sight, chatting with another familiar face from their childhood. Mary's stomach twisted. The pull to reconnect with her past was like an electric current, racing through her veins. What is going on in your head? Luke asked, breaking her reverie. I think I need to reach out to Clara, Mary admitted, the words spilling out before she could think. I can't pretend we can just ignore what happened. It feels like it's pulling on something raw, but maybe it's time to address it. Luke's expression shifted, concern dancing across his features. Are you sure that's what you want? It might not go the way you hope. Mary's heart raced. Deep down, she knew he was right, yet the thought of remaining stagnant was unbearable. Was T healing about confronting the past? Maybe it's time to let go of what shouldn't have happened and learn from it, she whispered. Luke studied her, and for a moment, the world around them faded, leaving only the shimmer of uncertainty floating between them. Could they take that leap together? Before they could delve deeper into the conversation, Ellie bounced back, her cheeks smeared with bright blue cotton candy. Mom! Can we make that plan now? Just in case. Mary's heart twisted. Ellie's innocent hope was both comforting and painful. Of course, sweetheart. As she smiled, a decision lingered just out of reach, waiting for the right moment to break through. Would Clara's presence be the key to opening these wounds or the bridge to a renewed relationship? With the festival bustling around her and her children tugging her in different directions, Mary felt the pulse of possibility in the air. It was time to face the music. Could she muster enough courage to bridge the distance between their pasts and what lay ahead? The opportunity loomed, ready to reveal all that had stayed hidden for far too long. Would she take the first step, or would she hold back, hoping things would magically resolve themselves? As the laughter vibrated all around, the question hung thick in the air: when would she take the leap into reconnection, healing, and the unknown? The adrenaline of the festival buzzed in the air, electrifying the atmosphere with each passing moment. Mary's heart thudded in her chest as she scanned the crowd, her gaze landing on Clara once more. The familiar figure stirred a flood of memories: carefree days, shared secrets, laughter that echoed long into the night. But along with those pleasant memories came the darker shadows of their falling out. Mom! Ellie's voice broke through her thoughts, beaming up at her with a sticky hand clutching cotton candy. Can we win that toy? She pointed at a giant stuffed giraffe perched high atop the game booth. The sight brought a flicker of happiness to Mary's heart, but the joy felt bittersweet. Sure, sweetie, just give me a second. Mary trailed off, her eyes still fixated on Clara, who was now laughing heartily with old friends. It knocked the wind right out of her how easily joy could be found among hurt, how laughter could echo in the shadow of pain. Luke shifted closer, his presence steadying her thoughts. You can't hold on to the past forever. What if you just said hello? The warmth in his voice offered both comfort and challenge. You can't move forward without facing it. His words settled deep in her chest, like seeds sprouting into possibility. Mary felt her courage teeter at the edge of a leap. Wasn't the leap what she needed? The thought of confronting old wounds and taking that first step made her stomach twist and turn, but that was the only way to find peace, wasn't it? Okay, I'll do it, she finally whispered, her pulse racing with resolution. But hey Mom! Jake's exuberance cut through the tension. Can we try that game? He tugged her hand, directing her attention to a booth where children lined up, eagerly tossing balls at pyramid stacks. Sure. She replied, her heart still pulling towards Clara. But the innocence of her children momentarily anchored her, providing her a semblance of focus as they cheered and laughed, their faces bright and full of wonder. As they played, Mary felt her resolve hardening. The laughter of her kids, the ease of their joy, was contagious. With each toss of the ball and cheers for every minor victory, the pain of the past felt lighter, a small reminder that maybe reconciliation had its own joy waiting on the other side. After winning a small stuffed dog, they made their way toward another booth. That's when Mary saw Clara pause, her eyes meeting Mary's for a heartbeat. The world around them faded. Clara smiled, faintly at first, but there was a spark, an invitation hidden there. It was as if she was saying, "I'm here. I'm ready when you are." Taking a deep breath, Mary felt the laughter around her pulsing through the air, infusing her with courage. "You guys stay here," she said to Jake and Ellie after pausing in front of Clara. "I need to talk to someone." "Okay, Mom. You got this," they exclaimed, rooting for her without knowing the weight of the moment. Mary took a few steps toward Clara, who looked as if she were waiting for this moment, too. Hearts pounding, hands cold, Mary reminded herself of what she wanted: a renewal, clarity, and most importantly, connection. "Clara," she called, her voice wavering slightly, but louder than the festival's background noise. Clara turned, and in that fleeting moment, Mary saw years of friendship and shared pain coalesce. "Mary," Clara replied, her voice warm yet cautious. "Hey." The warmth of the moment was contrasting sharply with the uncertainty that lay ahead. Could this be the start of unearthing the past? As they stood there, time felt suspended. Mary's heart raced, butterflies swirling in her stomach as she took the plunge. "We need to talk." But the question remained: would this conversation sow seeds of healing, or plunge them both further into the nostalgia that had once torn them apart? Mary took a tentative step closer, both of them standing between the vibrant chaos of the festival and the quiet repair of old wounds. The sounds of laughter, the squeals of delight from children, and the distant notes of cheerful music blurred into a hazy background as her full attention settled on Clara. "Can we find a place to talk?" Mary asked, her voice trembling slightly, a mix of anticipation and fear. Clara glanced around, the smile slipping from her face just a little, replaced by a serious look that sent a wave of uncertainty through Mary. "Yeah, let us." Clara nodded reluctantly, and together they moved away from the lively throng, finding a quiet corner where the sounds of the festival faded, almost swallowed by the tension building between them. As they stood facing each other, Mary struggled to find the words. The memories flooded back, laughter that carried into the night, secrets whispered during sleepovers, and then the silence, years of silence. But was it too late? "I've missed you," Mary finally said, the truth spilling out as she held Clara's gaze. The confession shook her, each word heavy with sentiment. "I miss us too," Clara replied, her voice softening as she took a half-step forward. It was the first crack in the barrier that had formed between them, and Mary felt a flicker of hope ignite in her chest. The air grew thick with unspoken conversations, each woman wrestling with their individual pain. Clara looked away for a moment, and Mary took the opportunity to gather her thoughts. "It's just everything changed so fast," she continued. "And I didn't know how to fix it." "I felt the same way," Clara admitted, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "But I guess we both let our pride get in the way. I thought you'd never want to talk again." Mary felt a lump growing in her throat. "I've wanted to so many times. I just didn't know how to reach out." The silence between them was charged with what had not been said for too long. It spanned years of misunderstandings, anger, and heartache, but also recognition that they both had been yearning for this moment. I want to try," Clara said, her voice steadier now. "I don't want this to be it for us." Mary nodded, a wave of relief washing over her. It was a flicker, but it was something, an ember of possibility that could grow into reconciliation. Just then, Ellie's cheerful voice shrieked from a nearby game. Their children were laughing, and the vibrant energy of the festival rushed back into focus, reminding Mary of what was at stake. "You know, I think our kids should be part of this," she exclaimed. "They love each other, and they could help us too." Clara's expression brightened at the thought. You're right. They have a bond, and maybe this is the step we need to rebuild ours. With newfound hope, they stepped back into the festival's warmth, ready to embrace the laughter and joy of the day, but also to carry the weight of their past. As they made their way back to the kids, Mary felt a lightness in her heart that had been absent for years. But the real question lingered: could they truly mend everything that had been broken? The journey ahead felt uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, Mary believed in the possibility of healing. "Hey, should we try to win that giant giraffe?" Clara suggested with a playful grin, her eyes sparkling. "Let us do it," Mary replied, excitement bubbling within her. As they moved forward, they both felt the pull of hope weaving between them, a promise of new beginnings, but thoughts swirled in Mary's mind about what obstacles still lay ahead. Would the past hold them back? How would their families react as they journeyed down this uncertain path of healing? The festival's joy felt fragile, and Mary knew they weren't out of the woods just yet. As the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a golden glow over Cedar Grove, a new chapter unfolded for the Johnson family. With Clara by her side, Mary felt a renewed sense of purpose wash over her. The laughter of their children drifted through the air, ringing with authenticity and untainted joy. The excitement bubbled within her like a shimmering spring as they approached the games booth. "Let us show them how it's done," Clara remarked, a playful challenge dancing in her voice. Mary laughed, the camaraderie feeling electric as they steered the kids towards the towering stuffed giraffe. Clara knelt down, her eyes alight. "All right, team. We'll work together. 1, 2, 3. Jake, Ellie, and the two women pooled their resources in that moment, laughter spilling as they tossed rings, their faces alight with hope. Each missed throw was met with encouragement, not frustration. For Mary, it was more than just a game, it was a manifestation of the new understanding blossoming within them. The gaping wounds of the past were still there, but today, they were building a bridge to healing together. Finally, with a unified cheer, they managed to land the rings on the target. Victory was theirs. The booth attendant handed over the plush giraffe, and it felt monumental. The kids squealed with delight, their joy infectious. Mary exchanged glances with Clara, and in that fleeting look, they both understood, they were ready to transform not just for their own sake, but for their children, who eagerly mirrored the hope they had instilled in them. "Look, Mom. It's our giraffe." Ellie grinned, hugging the stuffed toy tightly as if it contained all the hope of a mended family. Mary's heart swelled, overwhelming warmth enveloping her like a comforting blanket. "Yes. And it's a reminder of how strong we can be, together." As they moved through the festival, Mary felt lighter, the laughter blending seamlessly with conversations about reinvigorating old traditions and fostering new ones. She watched Jake and Ellie bond effortlessly with Clara's kids, sharing cotton candy and stories, their laughter echoing like a beautiful melody. With each moment, the fissures in Mary's heart healed a little more, and the visions of a fragmented past began to fade, but just when it seemed perfect, Clara turned to Mary, her expression suddenly serious. "So, about what we discussed earlier, are you okay with moving forward? Facing our truths?" Mary took a deep breath, a mix of confidence and apprehension rippling through her. "I am. But it's going to take time. We can't expect everything to change overnight. The past still lingers, and our families still have to face it." "Absolutely," Clara agreed, her demeanor steady. "But we're not in it alone anymore. We have our kids and our bond to help guide us." Mary nodded, feeling the weight of Clara's words. Their kids were roots anchoring them, growing within the strength of forgiveness and understanding. As the sun began to set, painting the sky vibrant hues of orange and pink, the festival reached a crescendo of joy, friends and family celebrating together, and for the first time in years, Mary felt the joy of being among her loved ones without the dark cloud of resentment above her. It wasn't just the laughter of children she felt, it was the promise of healing. Hand in hand, Mary and Clara marched over to their families, a new energy radiating between them. Everyone paused, collectively turning in their direction, and it felt electric, the air thick with anticipation. "Hey everyone. Clara exclaimed, bringing attention to their presence. "We have something we want to share." The surrounding families focused on them, curiosity piqued, and apprehension hung heavy in the air. But Mary felt bold, emboldened by steps they'd just taken together. "We've spoken about our history today," she began, her voice steady. "And it's time to be honest with each other. Healing means understanding and letting go of the weight of our pasts. And we believe we can do this together." The murmurs from the crowd became quieter, uncertainty mingling with hope. Luke stepped forward, laying a hand on Mary's shoulder, amplifying her courage. "Change doesn't happen overnight, but we can start here. Right now." And with that, the tension gave way to tentative smiles, some family members even nodding along in acknowledgement. The path ahead was still obscured, but together they had lit a lantern, a flicker of hope illuminating the way. As the festival's energy pulsed all around them, Mary felt a warmth wrap around her, a reminder that this moment marked the beginning, not the end. They were ready to embrace the healing journey with open hearts, and together, they would navigate the complexities ahead. As the stars began to peek out, warmth blossomed into something deeper, a community rooted in love and resilience. Families turned to one another, embraced each other, and cried tears of joy, marking both an end to the past and a radiant beginning to their future. And as Mary looked around, her heart swelled with gratitude for her children, for Clara, for Luke, and for the newfound connection enveloping them all. In that moment, she realized they weren't merely transforming old rifts, they were weaving a new legacy filled with understanding, laughter, and shared love. Now was the time to carry the energy forward, anchoring their families together to ensure that they would never face darkness alone again. As they celebrated in the glow of shared laughter, fit for a beautifully transformed family, Mary understood the urgency of connection and the power of togetherness. This was a journey they would continue to nurture. Big changes are coming, and you need to subscribe now to not miss a single exclusive story. Don't just be a part of the audience, leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. We want to hear your thoughts. Comment your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming journey, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible transformation. This is the moment to show your support.